Jaya Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Giridharadhari Gopi Janavalabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Giridharadhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radha Jaya Jagana Jaya Jagana Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're continuing reading the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 7, the sacrifice performed by Daksha, text 48 and 49. So text 48. Maitreya Uvacha Iti Daksha Kavir Yagyam Badra Rudra Bhimashritam Kirtyamane Hrishikeshe Saninye Yagya Bhavane. Because we have two verses, I'll just do once and then the word for word and the translation of each. So Maitreya Uvacha said, Iti thus, Daksha, Kavi, being purified in consciousness, Yagyam, the sacrifice, Badra, O Vidura, Rudra, Abhim Arshitam, devastated by Virabhadra, Kirtyamane, being glorified, Rishikesh, Lord Vishnu, Saninye, arranged for restarting, Yagya Bhavane, the protector of sacrifice. Translation. Sri Maitreya said, after Lord Vishnu was glorified by all present, Daksha, his consciousness purified, arranged to begin again the yagya which had been devastated by the followers of Lord Shiva. Text 49. Bhagavan Svena Bhagena Sarvatma Sarvapagabuk Daksham Bhabhasa Abhasya Priyamana Ivanaga. Bhagavan, Lord Vishnu, Svena with his own, Bhagena with the share, Sarva Atma, the supersoul of all living entities, Sarva Bhagabuk, the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices, Daksham Daksha, Bhabase, said, Abhasya, addressing, Priyamana, being satisfied, Iva, as, Anaga, O sinless Vidura. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Maitreya continued, my dear sinless Vidura, Lord Vishnu is actually the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Yet because of his being the supersoul of all living entities, he was satisfied simply with his share of the sacrificial offerings. He therefore addressed Daksha in a pleasing attitude. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 5.29, it is said, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam. Lord Vishnu, or Krishna, is the supreme enjoyer of the results of sacrifices, austerities, and penances. In whatever one may engage, the ultimate goal is Vishnu. If a person does not know that, he is misled. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu has nothing to demand from anyone. He is self-satisfied, self-sufficient, but he accepts the offerings of yagya because of his friendly attitude toward all living entities. When his share of the sacrificial results was offered to him, he appeared very pleased. It is said in Bhagavad Gita 9.26, Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya prayachchati. If any devotee offers him even a small leaf or a flower of water, if it is offered with love and affection, the Lord accepts it and is pleased. Although he is self-sufficient and does not need anything from anyone, he accepts such offerings because, as Supersoul, he has such a friendly attitude toward all living entities. Another point here is that he does not encroach upon another's share. In the yagya, there is a share for the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, and a share for Lord Vishnu. He is satisfied with his own share and does not encroach upon others. Indirectly, he indicated that he was not satisfied with Daksha's trying to deny Lord Shiva his share. Maitreya addressed Vidura as sinless because Vidura was a pure Vaishnava and never committed any offense to any demigod. Although Vaishnavas accept Lord Vishnu as the supreme, they are not prone to offend demigods. They give the demigods proper respect. Vaishnavas accept Lord Shiva as the best Vaishnava. For a Vaishnava, there is no possibility of offending any demigods, and the demigods are also pleased with the Vaishnava because they are faultless devotees of Lord Vishnu. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is a very interesting section in Srimad Bhagavatam. Indeed, all Srimad Bhagavatam is there to capture our interest and increase our absorption in hearing about the Lord and his devotees, and to give us in our own personal lives so many instructions that are given to us through these wonderful accounts of different events that have happened, conversations between great souls. So at this point, now all of the prayers that we've been hearing recently have now come to their conclusion, and the yagya can continue on. And it states here that Daksha, now his consciousness is purified. So as we remember through this whole scene, Daksha's consciousness has not been in a very pure state, and that caused many issues. But now, due to the mercy of the Lord and the mercy of the whole situation, now Daksha's consciousness is purified. He is in a proper state of mind, and he can again begin this yagya. And Maitreya, he describes to Vidura how Lord Vishnu is actually the enjoyer of all of the results of sacrifice. He is the purpose for performing any sacrifice. And Srila Prabhupada quotes this wonderful verse from Bhagavad Gita 5:29. Bhaktaram yagyatapasam sarva lokam maheshwaram suridam sarva bhutanam yatvamam shantim richati. That it's beautiful. The satis here. That the Lord is the supreme enjoyer. He is the supreme proprietor over all the planets, over all the demigods. He is the object of all worship, and he is the supreme friend. Suridam sarva bhutanam. He is the well-wisher of every living entity. And this is something that Srila Prabhupada repeats twice in the purport, that the Lord has such a friendly attitude towards all living entities. And because of that friendly attitude, then he accepts our offerings. He accepts the offerings performed in yajna. And in thinking about this point, this is something that is such a wonderful feature of the Supreme Lord. And Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that this is particularly a feature of the Super Soul, that he is very friendly, has such a friendly attitude to all living entities. And how do we see that as evident in the Super Soul? The Super Soul accompanies the living entity in every single species of life. No matter what our actions are, the Super Soul accompanies the living entity. The Super Soul never abandons. And when we think about the different situations of different bodies, the different activities that the bewildered spirit soul performs under the influence of these different bodies, under the influence of the modes of material nature, and we understand the supreme position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his form as the Super Soul, there is no friendlier personality in all of existence than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because regardless of our situation, regardless of our actions, he sits within the heart as the Super Soul, accompanying the living entity. And this is a manifestation of the Lord's kindness. And as Prabhupada says, a friendly attitude of the Lord. As we read in Shastra, the Lord simply sits within the heart waiting for that individual soul to turn towards him, waiting for that individual soul to actually start to pay attention to him. But he doesn't push. And as Prabhupada says here, the Lord doesn't encroach upon anyone's share. He doesn't encroach upon anyone's free will also. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the Super Soul sits within the heart and simply waits for the living entity to take a turn, to actually start to inquire. And then, as we read in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Super Soul takes a very active role in purifying the heart. And this is just a symptom of the Lord's friendly attitude towards all living entities. And that's everyone, every single living entity. This has their best friend inside their heart. And for persons who we're trying to practice devotional service, then that realization of the Lord's friendly attitude towards us, that realization that the Lord is actually sitting with me as my best friend at all times, that's something that just grows and grows, something that can and should, we should be increasing in realization that the Supreme Lord is constantly with me, and he is my Surit. He is my best well-wishing friend at all times. And this is something that we really want deep realization of. And we get that realization through our whole process of devotional service, which cleanses away all of that material dirt and dust that's stopping us from recognizing the Supreme Lord within our heart. It's stopping us from seeing our best friend. So this whole process of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting, performing devotional service, this is purifying our heart so that we can then actually observe, we can see, we'll be able to witness the care, the love, the friendliness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is sitting within our heart. Srila Prabhupada, again, he says that in the purport, he says that the Supreme Lord, he doesn't demand anything from anyone. He's fully self-sufficient. He's fully self-satisfied. So when we think about this quality of the Lord, that he's self-sufficient and he's self-satisfied, why does he need us? What is the reason? The Lord doesn't need our offerings. The Lord doesn't need our rice and dal. The Lord doesn't need our flowers that are unfortunately grown with pesticides and so many things. The Lord doesn't need these little things. But why does the Lord accept our offerings? Why in the Bhagavad Gita is it prescribed that we are meant to perform duties according to prescribed yajna in order to become happy and satisfied in this world? As it describes in the Bhagavad Gita, and says that the Lord sent forth all men and demigods along with yajna, because by the performance of yajna, then one can be happy and satisfied within this world. Why is that? So we have this performance of yajna in order to show Krishna our love, in order to show Krishna our affection. As Prabhupada quotes this beautiful verse from the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, that if one simply offers with love and devotion, a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, then Krishna says, I will accept that. So does Krishna need our little flower or a little drop of water? He doesn't need that. He's fully self-sufficient. And not only is he self-sufficient, he's fully self-satisfied. He's not looking for satisfaction from anyone else. He can fulfill all of his own desires. And it's described, Krishna has unlimited desires, just as everything about Krishna is unlimited. So he also has unlimited desires, but he has the unlimited capacity to fulfill all of those desires. He doesn't need us to do it. So why does Krishna even want us to be close to him? What is this? He doesn't need us. He wants love. He wants relation. And you can see this in our whole understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and then of the living entities, is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the source of everything. He then expands into other personalities in order to enjoy rasa, in order to enjoy relationship and taste. That's what pleases Krishna. That's what Krishna wants from us. He wants relationship. He wants that relationship of affection and love. And the performance of yajna, or the offering of any kind of offering that we can make towards the Lord, that we can make to the Lord, simply is a sign of our love. It's simply a sign of our affection, of our wanting to express our relationship with the Lord. It's not about the object that we offer. It's about the mood in which we offer it. What's behind that offering? Because in thinking about this, you think, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is the owner of everything. He's the source of everything. What material object can we give him that will please him? He's completely all spiritual. He doesn't require anything of this material world. So we can offer our most beautiful garlands, we can offer our most beautiful anything. But what the Lord's wanting is not that object. He's wanting the affection that's behind it. That's what he accepts. So of course we should offer whatever the best things that we can get, because that's a sign of our love. But we should always meditate on and remember that we're not offering Krishna any object. He doesn't need us to wake him up in the morning and offer him so many things. He doesn't need that. He's self-satisfied. What he wants, what he needs is our love, our affection. And the way that we perform devotional service should at every step be an expression of our affection for Krishna, because that is the only thing that he wants from us. What do you want to show? Thank you. Sati made a picture. Good girl. So Krishna wants our affection. Yes, so as Srila Prabhupada says, and it's a really wonderful point, this point, that although he doesn't need anything, he stays with us. Although he is self-satisfied, still he wants our affection. He wants our love. And that is Krishna's personality. You know, this is also another reason, another way that we can see the Supreme Lord is not impersonal. He wants personal relationships. He wants affection. He wants love. And that's really the only thing that we can offer him. But the way we offer him that is through our whole process of devotional service, through our chanting, through our practical devotional service, through hearing about Krishna. Everything is done with this mood of affection, that is bhakti. So without the mood of affection, or even if we feel like we may not have so much affection for Krishna at this point in time, if we even want to develop affection for Krishna, then if we're engaging in devotional service out of a desire to want to develop affection for Krishna, then this is perfect. This is also very desirable. And as we progress on the process, through the process of devotional service, then that natural affection for Krishna, which sits in everyone's heart, as it describes in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, that pure devotional service is seated within everyone's heart. It is not something that is added from outside. And this is also a relevant point as Prabhupada talks about the Lord being self-satisfied. I was thinking about this in reflection to the living entities and how much we look outside for satisfaction. We're always searching outside of ourselves for others to satisfy us, or for a situation to satisfy us, possessions to satisfy us. So many ways we're searching for satisfaction, but we're always looking outside of ourselves for satisfaction. And this is a huge difference between the individual soul and the Supreme Soul. He is able to satisfy every one of his own desires, unlimited desires, ever expanding. And yet Krishna is totally able to fulfill all of them. And again, the unlimited desires keep on rolling. But for the living entity, we may also feel like we have so many desires, and yet we're always searching outside of ourselves for satisfaction of those desires. And this is due to our not recognizing the Supreme Personality of Godhead as our best friend, as the proprietor. As Prabhupada quotes that verse from Bhagavad Gita 5:29. How does that verse end? It says that for one who can recognize the Supreme Lord in this way, as the Supreme Proprietor, as the best friend, as the well-wisher, for someone who realizes the Lord in that way, then what happens? They gain peace from the pangs of material misery. In relationship with the Lord, then we can attain that peaceful state. We can attain that state where we're not constantly looking outside of ourselves for satisfaction. We're not trying to draw satisfaction out from other people, or from the situation, or from our possessions, or from whatever. We're not trying to draw that satisfaction from outside in. We're actually experiencing the satisfaction within in relationship with Krishna. And of course, hand in hand with that goes in relationship with Krishna's devotees. So as our relationship with Krishna develops, then also our relationship with Krishna's devotees develop. Because we can never separate Krishna from his devotees. Thank you. You want to show him that? Sati's very used to being with me in Bhagavatam class. She would always be there in the temple when I was giving class. So I realized that whenever I give class also on the computer like this, she really wants to be there listening to class and being involved. So thank you for your understanding. She'll pop in and out. So another point that Srila Prabhupada makes in the purport is that the Supreme Lord, in this situation in the yagya, when the yagya started to be performed again, then Lord Vishnu was very happy to just accept his share of the yagya. And Prabhupada describes that by doing this, he showed indirectly that he was not pleased with Daksha trying to deny Lord Shiva his share, and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he doesn't encroach upon anyone else's share in anything. He's very pleased to take his own share, although, of course, we understand that everything is coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that teaching not to encroach upon others' share, accepting only what is our own quota. This is also there from the first mantra in Sri Ishopanishad. So I thought I would just read that. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which is set aside as his quota, and one must not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. So this is also a guiding principle for devotees. You can sit next to me, don't lean on me. This is also such a guiding principle for devotees, that again it links in with this understanding of Krishna as the supreme proprietor, as the supreme friend, as the supreme Lord, that when we recognize Krishna in his position, then we can understand that things have that everything has its purpose in this world. We are assigned a particular quota in life, and when we are endeavoring outside of that, then things will be out of balance in life. We are meant to accept those things that are favorable for performance of devotional service and be able to reject those that are not. And that comes in many different ways and forms in our life. So accepting those things that are set aside as our quota, in many ways it's got a lot to do with not over endeavoring. So being able to understand that we have a set allotment in life. In the Sri Upanishad, Srila Prabhupada, he uses this example of animals that they only take what they need. They take what they need to eat, they'll leave the rest, but in the human society, often we'll just take and take and take. We'll take much more than what we actually need. So being realistic about our needs and only having those things that we actually have need for and that we will use properly in Krishna's service, not over-endeavoring. And over-endeavoring, I've heard it explained in such a way that we can engage when we are over-endeavoring for any particular thing when it negatively impacts our spiritual practice, our spiritual life. We can see that we're giving too much energy in one particular area and our spiritual life is being impacted with that. Then we can be assured this is an over endeavor. This is not what I'm meant to have. And being able to accept, being able to be satisfied with what we have, being satisfied with our quota. This also, again, comes back into connection with how strong our relationship with Krishna is, that we'll be able to accept and be satisfied with what we have in this life, and be able to peacefully perform our devotional service without endeavoring too much for, I think I made a point, sorry, without over-endeavoring. The final point that Srila Prabhupada makes in the purport is that Maitreya, he calls Vidura a very sinless devotee. And Srila Prabhupada says that devotees, they will not offend demigods. They won't make offenses, because again, we have these wonderful teachings from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we should be able to offer all respects to others and not expect respect for oneself. That this is the devotee's mood, that we're ready to be humble, that we always are ready to take that humble position. Well, devotees are always ready to offer all respects to others, all living entities. So demigods to the little ant. We're ready to offer respect to everyone, but a devotee does not demand respect for themselves. And this, so the devotee doesn't commit offenses to others because of their respectful attitude towards everyone. And also on the flip side of that, a devotee does not easily become offended. And this is also important, that we don't want to commit offenses to others. We want to always hold that very respectful attitude towards other devotees, towards the demigods, towards all living entities in general. We want to have a very, very respectful attitude. And also we don't want to easily take offense, because a devotee always has that feeling that, I don't expect others to respect me. I'm not relying on other people to respect me in order to feel confident, in order to feel satisfied. Because a devotee has that inner satisfaction in their relationship with Krishna, then the treatment of others toward us should not rattle us too much. Of course, we're people, and people have emotions, and there can be hurt and things if there is some misunderstanding or mistreatment. However, a devotee should be careful not to easily take offense, because then we put the other person in a precarious situation. So we have this principle of offering respect to others and not expecting so much respect for ourselves. However, there is also a very important side of this, is that as Vaishnavas, as devotees, we do not stand by and let other devotees become blasphemed, hurt, offended. So a devotee can accept any kind of treatment for themselves, but for our fellow devotees, we'll stand up and protect them at any moment. And we see this in the behavior of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in relation with Jagai and Madai, and also in relation with Srila Haridas Thakur, how Haridas Thakur, he was able to Haridas Thakur, he was so mistreated, dragged through, beaten through all those marketplaces, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was ready to take strong action. And yet, because of his humility, because of his prayer, then the Supreme Lord wasn't able to step in and punish those offenders. And what did he do? And this was revealed to Haridas Thakur in Lord Chaitanya's Mahaprakash Leela, that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually laid his body over Haridas Thakur and took all those whip marks for him. And then afterwards, those offenders, they definitely got the reaction for their offence towards Haridas Thakur. Also, again with Jagai and Madai, when Madai went to hit Lord Nityananda again, and Lord Chaitanya came with the chakra, describes in Chaitanya Charitamrita that his eyes were burning red like copper, burning. He was so angry and he was ready to kill them. So we don't stand by and let other devotees be offended. At the same time, we are ready to accept any kind of treatment towards ourselves. So this is I'm sure everybody knows about this, but this is just another aspect of that teaching, that we're ready to offer respect to everyone and not expect respect for ourselves, but at the same time we're always ready to protect and stand up for other Vaishnavas and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is proper Vaishnava behavior. Srila Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Instruction in the beginning that is the proper exhibition of anger for a devotee. Not that we become angry for treatment towards ourselves, but we can become angry as fire if the Supreme Lord or other devotees are being mistreated. But in this purport, Srila Prabhupada says that Vaishnavas are faultless. Vaishnavas are faultless. And in that way, they're pleasing to everybody. So that's in regards to Vidura being called O sinless Vidura. So I think the main points that came out to me, that stood out to me in this purport, were this wonderful explanation of how the Lord is so friendly, has such a friendly attitude towards all living entities, that our offerings to the Supreme Personality of Godhead are meant to be imbued with love and affection. That is what he accepts, and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead does not encroach upon anybody else's share, and that devotees do not offend. Devotees are not offensive. So I know this is a little short. I've been listening to the other classes back and they've gone closer to an hour, but because I need to get to school, and that will kind of be as much as I can give this morning. If anyone would like to share some realizations or make a comment, please do. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. This is a wonderful class. Listening, one thing that struck me is this current situation in Russia and Ukraine. And this verse you quoted from the Upanishad, that everything animate and inanimate belong to Krishna. We should take a share. And it's such a revelation that this can really give us the solution to the whole conflict. Then you also share the last verse, how to satisfy Krishna. Bhaktaram Janata Sarvalokam Aswaram. Yes, this is a peace formula. Enough. This peace formula, Hare Krishna, oh Jai, check it out. Nice. If you just follow this peace formula, and we resolve very nicely. It should come up very nicely from this class. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the true, isn't it? So many issues and so many problems are due to this, that we don't understand Krishna is the supreme proprietor and that we want to take other people's quota. And we see this was one of the causes of this whole situation with Daksha, that he wanted to deny Lord Shiva what he was due. This is also there, so it causes so many issues, so many problems. But yes, it's the real peace formula, that if we can actually understand that everything is coming from the Supreme Lord and use things in his service and only take what we need, then everything can be peaceful. And yet we see the nature of the living entity bewildered by the three modes of material nature is that we always want more, more, more. Everyone's just wanting to take, wanting to control. We see these, and this is so strong in this terrible situation in the world at the moment.
Thank you. Yeah, you also mentioned a nice point that birds and animals will just take their share and just go. Human nature is so different. Anybody else got any comments or queries? Okay, Mataji will end here. Thank you very much for the full class. Mataji, will you be able to do next Wednesday again?
That's fine, Prabhu, as long as it's okay if it's a little bit short like this, because now I have to
Sure.
take Sati to class.
That's fine. Madam. Everybody's
Okay.
in our
Sure.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you. Grandchild Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Praise Acyuta Bhava Mataji ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki Kul Bhaktin God Hari Bol. Pranam.
Jai Sachi Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.